What are we going to do all day? After crunching the numbers, analyzing it 9 ways to Sunday, I was still hesitant. I am still hesitant to set a firm date, regardless of if I'm going to tell my employer yet or not, because I'm not going to tell them until I am much closer to the date I would like to make the retirement. However, hesitation, the numbers, I know what my monthly number is. I know that with side hustles and with what I've set aside for retirement, even with the added expenses of my healthcare costs between now and 65, I know I got it on paper. But as my honey keeps telling me, I'm not ready yet. So this series took a much deeper dive into everything that doesn't have to do with the dollars. We're talking everything that has to do with the cent. So in these 7 videos from the full week of Series 6 of what are you going to do all day, let's dive into it, because each video holds a different key that we need to begin addressing now prior to leaving our full-time jobs and stepping into this next chapter, because this isn't just a temporary situation. We're making changes for the rest of our days. So for the last couple of months, and this is Series 6 in a 7-month series, we've talked about everything from spreadsheets to knowing your number to retirement accounts to just dollars and dollars and dollars, because that is the main concern for most of us. Not everybody in Generation X has been saving for retirement since our teens and 20s. A lot of us, myself included, I didn't start until my 40s, mid-40s at that. So if you find yourself in your 50s and you've kind of just casually been preparing for retirement, it's not too late. If you've done nothing, it's not too late. We are redefining what retirement looks like for us, for you. All you need to know is what your number is, not that you need $1 million, because that's not accurate. Never was. But this series, we're diving into, are we really ready? And what does that look like? And how can we get ourselves more ready? This first video talks about why Gen X, and I'm speaking for women, men, you're in the same bucket though. Why do we fear boredom more than poverty and running out of money? What truly is keeping us from pulling the trigger? And what can we do? What can we do to address that, to get ourselves ready and, well, basically eliminate the fear of being bored? Come on, let's watch this first video. I do a lot of talking about retirement, knowing your number and figuring out what it's going to take you every month to live and doing a budget. And this series has nothing to do with numbers, with money, with tangible items. This is part of my own journey, and I, as always, am inviting you to come along with me. This conversation is about what the heck are we going to do with ourselves in retirement? Who are we? What are we going to do? There is a million questions in my own head, and this is why I'm bringing you to it. I thought I was scared of retirement because of the lack of regular income, the health insurance questions. When I got down to the reality of it, after I crunched the numbers, after I looked at how long my money would last and how long, all the things a spreadsheet and an analysis can provide, once the facts were done, I was still hesitant. I am still hesitant. And the truth of it is, a lot of my day, a lot of my pattern of life, matter of fact, my entire pattern of life is anchored to this job, this crazy commute that I have, the location in the city that it's in relation to everything else I have to do. This job is the cornerstone, the foundation of my current existence, and has been for the past 7 or 8 years that I've been a full-time employee. Wonderful company, not dissing the company, but now that I'm considering what life would look like without it, it's disconcerting. Am I afraid of boredom? Am I afraid of becoming irrelevant? I am afraid of sitting around and not knowing what to do with myself. Last week, I spent 10 days with my husband, and I chose to go into that as if I was retired. I wanted to see what a full week of not setting alarms, of not having a predetermined agenda of what I needed to get done on a daily basis. And that was difficult for me because I'm a list maker and a planner, but I muddled through. I had pre-produced everything I needed to produce for my side hustle so I could have that entire week without requirements on my time. And it was interesting. My body, obviously now it's just a week. So my body was still getting up at the regular time. And some mornings I could put myself back to sleep. And other mornings I had to get up and get started with whatever that meant. Because there is a pattern to life that we're going to have to break. So moving into a retirement season, this is my last job and it's in my rearview mirror. And now I've got my entire next chapter in front of me. You got to give yourself some adjustment time. When my husband retired last year, I told him, I said, take a year, reset. I don't care what you do. You don't have to do one thing that's productive. You do exactly nothing if that's what you want to do. I will give myself that same grace and mercy when it comes my time to join him in retirement. But I'm pretty sure my retirement first year will be different than his. He tells me constantly, you're not ready yet. You're not mentally there. I don't know what that means. I really don't. I cannot conceive of pre-retirement getting myself into this full groove where it's just a seamless transition because I can't lay everything down. I can't stop going into work. I can't stop driving this commute. I can't stop taking care of my mother and going, commuting back and forth to see my husband. I mean, there's things that I just can't stop doing. In retirement, can't fully be practiced until I get there. I give a lot of lip service to it. Live like you're retired on your off hours, and I am doing that on my off hours. But there's precious few of those. When I get home in the afternoons, if I'm coming up here to the cabin in those days, I have maybe an hour and a half from the time I get in the cabin to the time I need to be in bed so that I can get 6 hours sleep before I get up to start my day again, to rinse and repeat. It is, almost spilled this. It is not a lot of time to live like I'm retired. And then on weekends, we've done this for decades. Weekends, no, they're not kick back, have fun like they used to be when we were kids. Remember back when we were teenagers and the weekends, that was just phenomenal. It was like a mini vacation. No, when did they stop being mini vacations? They are get everything done you couldn't get done during the week. You make the food, wash the clothes, clean the house, take care of the dogs, go to whatever, do whatever. But everything you can't get done in your work week, you throw it to the weekends. And the frustrating thing about that, especially in Houston, Texas, is that everybody does that. So traffic on the weekends is worse than the business day traffic because everybody's out trying to get done what they didn't get done during the business week. It is insane. I hear tell that when you no longer have to go to a full-time job, now this is mythical at this point because I've yet to experience, but did you know that there are hours at the grocery stores during the work week where there's hardly anybody there? You can shop without banging into everybody's carts. It's the mythical world of not having to go to work every Monday through Friday. I'm looking forward to experiencing and visiting that mythical world. But until that day, I have to keep figuring out how to ease myself into the transition. Because not only is it going to make retirement more enriched, but it helps me now knowing that this is the last job, that I'm enjoying pieces of my life, hours of my day that I had not previously done with intention and focus. I'm reigniting interest that I long since forgot about because I got so busy. Now, I never had kids. Bless y'all who did have children, male or female out there. When you raised them up, you had a lot of demands on your time that I didn't have. But nature and life hates a vacuum. And I got to tell you, as the single childless sister, there were a lot of assumptions of what Aunt Jenny was going to be doing and how she was going to be helping out. And that wasn't just with all the nieces and nephews when the mamas needed a break or birthday parties needed to be planned or other things needed to be done. That went into the aging parents. Now, a lot of us concurrently have older children and are taking care of our parents. We are what they're calling that sandwich generation. Danged if you do, danged if you don't. Caretaking to the left of me, caretaking to the right with me, stuck here in the middle with you. Name that song, go to the comments. But I have never shirked away from acts of love and not duty. So I continue doing what I need to do. But there is a season of life when all of that falls away. And for those of us who didn't have to go through an empty nest after the kids left home, you know, before they helicoptered and came back or boomeranged, whatever y'all call that, there is a season of life that we're all facing. And it probably needs another series of videos. Is not only does the job, the career fade away, and everything we tied to our identity with that we have to work through, we are now approaching the season of being orphans. Yes, at age 58, 60, 65, whatever age you are, when one, if you only had a single parent household, or both parents are no longer with us, technically we're orphans. But add that into the mix, and we got a lot of identity that we've got to reclaim, rediscover, and figure out how we want to live the rest of our life the best we can dadgum do it. All right, so I completely went off script with this particular video. This is Series 6, Video 1, all about who the heck are we when we no longer have a job. Y'all come along for this ride because I got a feeling you got a lot to say about it. So I'm Jenny. I post on Wednesdays and Saturdays. I am in month 6 of doing a 7-month series about retirement. Go and binge the other videos, but join me at the end of this 7-day run for the YouTube Live. I'm working out the kinks in that, y'all. I had quite a few technical issues and learning curves up to this point, but practice makes perfect, so we're going to keep practicing it. All right, I will see y'all soon. Stop recording. All the things a spreadsheet and analytic. Who are you without your job title? What are you going to say after you leave your full-time career? Something that you've been doing in this job that is your last job. What are you going to do when people ask you, so what do you do? Well, I sit around and eat bonbons and pet my dogs and yeah, no. I know for me, that is not enough to fill my days. It is something I'm looking forward to, but what am I going to say? Now, several of you have left this in the series comments as far as what you're prepared to say, but it is deeper than just having a tagline, having a 15-second elevator pitch about what you do now that you no longer do what you've been doing for the last 30 or 40 years. It's a bit deeper than that. So in this next video, we're gonna ask some harder questions and we're gonna do some looking in the mirror to figure out what we want to do. Who are you when people stop asking what you do for a living? Or better yet,
What's your response going to be to that question when you enter this next chapter of life? Call it retirement, call it next chapter, whatever you want. But what's your response going to be? Who are you, or what do you do? So if your job title disappears tomorrow, in 6 months, in 2 years, whatever your plan is, and you can't answer that question, that's not success. That's a warning light. So start thinking about it now, because we're all eventually going to work less, if not completely stop working. But when someone asks us, what do you do? What do you do? Let's be honest. Work. The job you currently have, the career path that you have been on for the past 30, 40, 50 years has become a container for the majority of your identity. That is a natural byproduct of having to get up every day and go report to someone else to get a paycheck. The last 30, 45 years, even with the fact that your identity has been tailored to the jobs you perform, whether it's your work job that gives you a paycheck, your job as a mother, your job as a wife, your job as a church community member, etc. All of those different jobs, the hats, the metaphorical hats that we wear, those have been your identity. And one by one, they've been coming off over the past 15 or so years. Many of you are now the empty nesters. Yes, you will forever be a mother, but the years of mothering, of raising children, that identity's off. It's had to shift. Use that as sort of a guidepost. And for those of us who didn't have kids, we can all imagine. But for every transition in life, for everything that we have had to move through that season of life to get the caregiving of our parents, when that's done, for that portion of us that are tied up with that in our identity, what does that transfer to? Every season that sunsets is leading us to the ultimate journey of figuring out who we are. I currently work crazy hours with the commute and with the job and where I live and commuting back and forth to see my husband in New England, caretaking my mother. All of that is my identity. There's not enough hours in the day for me to figure out who I am outside of that. I've picked up my passion projects. Yes, I'm working these into cracks. What cracks exist in that crazy schedule I keep? But when that whole schedule sunsets, with the exception of the husband in New England, eventually I will leave this job at some point. Eventually, my mother will move onward to reunite with her beloved husband that she's a widow from. When these things happen and I no longer have to do them, that adds time back to my life, but also gives me a void that I get to pick up and either wallow in, who am I? Or, who am I? What do I want to do now? What have I put off all of these years that I now have the time and, God willing, the energy and the good health to pursue? We've all got those things. There have been dozens of things we've put off for the betterment of the family. Nope, the kids need braces, or the husband needs this, or I've got to buy this special fire retardant jumpsuit for the job at the plant. Whatever you have had to focus on instead of the things that you want for yourself, you're coming into a season of life where you can start thinking more about yourself, and it's not selfish, it's self-full. It will feed your soul. We've talked a lot, not just in this series, but on the channel and gentlemen, I'm not intending to exclude you, because you also have had predetermined roles in life. But we women, and I'm going to take it down a step further, we Southern women definitely trained, and I'm saying trained intentionally, because regardless of what the good intentions were of my mother's generation with the whole women's lib movement back during the 70s, they were still a victim of their upbringing. And there were certain pillars and tenements that they had not yet addressed and evolved in chosen not to pass down to my generation. And one of the ones in Southern households was that you put everybody else first. Everybody, everything. Your husband, your kids, your church, your community, at work. God bless me. I still offer people a cup of coffee when I'm leaving a meeting to go powder my nose because that's the way I was raised. Good manners, yes, but it was also a female transference of responsibilities. So being helpful to everybody should not and will not define my value. Exchanging my time and my skills for a paycheck does not define my value, nor does it require me to give of myself outside the hours they've exchanged from my life for what they're paying me. And that's a big move for all of us to consider. We have to start living now on our own time, on our off hour times from the job, as if we're retired, as if we've already transitioned to this next season of life. This will give you a head start on figuring out so much. You'll still need the transition period to rest, reboot, power cycle, regenerate, get to know yourself, and just breathe. But it doesn't have to be as long of a process when you finally get that last paycheck as it will be if you don't start now. Quality of your life will be enriched now by doing these things more so than if you just, I'm just going to keep my nose to the grind and get through this and until that next chapter turns the page. And no, start it now. Give yourself some self-care and some self-love now. Know thyself. So tell me, comment down below, outside of your current pile of responsibilities, who are you? What do you like to do that does not involve your job, obligations to church and community, obligation to family events? Who are you? So, hi, I'm Jenny. As you know, I got a little to say about a lot of stuff, and I adore my passion projects. 100% mine. I enjoy it. I'll keep doing these. Share this video with somebody in your life who you know needs to start preparing now for that transition. There's a lot of us that at this stage of life, the kids have left. Some of us find ourselves single after decades of marriage, whether it's by a legal choice or a fateful choice of being widowed. But who are you? And what are you going to do this week to start giving yourself your life back on your off time? All right, I'm Jen. I post on Wednesdays and Saturdays. This is video 2 in a 7 video series. This is month 6 of a 7-month long, so go back and binge all those videos. I will see you again soon. Stop recording.
Busy has never meant meaningful. Many of us used busy as a mask to hide behind, as a shield to not have to tell somebody, no, I don't want to attend your child's birthday party again. I've got a lot to do. So busy does not necessarily mean meaningful, and we can very easily go into this next chapter of our lives keeping the same pace because we don't know what to do when we slow down. Because we have spent 30, 40 years churning it out, making sure that everything got done as quickly as possible so that we could get to the weekend and get everything else done. Our lives are changing. It is time to sit back and enjoy the fact that we have worked really hard and we deserve to slow it down. It's not because we're lazy. It's not because we're aging. It's because the value of our days, the peace, the sanity, it's what we deserve. It's what we've worked so hard for. So come on, we got another video to watch.
I thought slowing down was going to mean I was failing, that I was not being the productive, responsible citizen I should be. But what if doing less is actually the first honest thing I have done in my entire adult life? Busy does not equate to a personality trait. And it actually, and I'll admit it, something I've hidden behind. I have used busy to shield myself from stuff that I didn't want to have to face. The more I had to do, the faster I had to run, the more I had to stay in motion. The less time I had to sit and think the thoughts that I didn't want to think, that I didn't think I was being productive to think. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we move into this next chapter of our lives, busy, shields down. We as Gen X, myself as the forerunner, the flagship, the poster girl for it, raised to be busy, to be productive, to always take on the challenge, never say no. If you're breathing, you got time to do this for somebody or to do it for yourself. This is what built our careers, our families, our self-esteem, our social networks. A lot of busy and a whole heck of a lot of back pain. But after 50, in that wonderful season of life that we women enter, what I'm discovering almost daily is what I could do, the pace I could keep at age 30, 40, 45 without batting an eye or missing a beat. I need more recovery time now. And I'm not just talking the intentional workouts. I'm talking life in general. Leave me a comment down below if you've noticed this change in yourself. Men, you're not immune to this either. Menopause, I hear, is a real thing for y'all. But it's true. We need more recovery time. So we have to adjust our pace of life to accommodate what Mother Nature's doing to us naturally. It doesn't mean we're done. It doesn't mean we can't get out and live and do, etc. It just means we've got to use our energy more wisely. Because I got to tell you, hustle culture ages badly. The more we stay in motion, the more stress we take on, the more lifestyle choices we make to accommodate the schedule that we're keeping, which is going to include, for most of us, lots of additional caffeine and fast food and non-nutritionally based, just convenience eating, it takes its toll. So now that we're moving into this season where we are in the youth of our senior years and we got a lot of life left we want to live, we got to start making better choices. Because honestly, that old saying that we all kind of balked at growing up and through our 20s and 30s, you are what you eat. No, it's so true. We know that now. We now see the perils associated with some of those poor choices and how much better we feel when we do treat our bodies and ourselves better. And as we move into this, we no longer have our youth stamina to trade on, but we've still got energy. And we can support that energy by reduction of stress, which for me is going to mean laying down a lot of what I'm having to do. Some of it's naturally going to sunset and fade away. None of us get out alive. So eventually I will no longer have the responsibilities I do now with my mom. The job itself with this incredible, unsustainable commute will fade, whether that's completely or we can all come to our senses and come up with some sort of hybrid or modified work schedule, work location. And if not, then I'll design my own. That's the reason for the side hustle. So with that said, like, subscribe, share, keep coming back, leave in the comments, and down in the description are links to my other side hustles and things that I am pursuing and enjoying as the hobby that it is right now, but go check that out as well. And something I have really begun to appreciate is that depth of life, relationships, conversations, experiences, so much more valuable to me than a packed calendar where I'm just a bumblebee going from flower to flower, not really enjoying any of it, just ticking boxes. I now take the time to have a one-on-one, face-to-face conversation with somebody I truly want to have a conversation with. I don't suffer fools gladly. I hope you don't either. But when we have to be involved in a situation where there's someone that we don't necessarily want to spend that amount of time with, we don't have to go into depth with them on any subject. We just do the courtesy things and move on. But this morning, I'm headed for a brunch, and it may be a 6-hour brunch with a friend I need to catch up with. I'm going in deep. She's somebody that's been in my life for 20 some odd years. I've watched her grow and mature, and I look forward to diving in deep to finding out how her and her son and her brand new marriage are doing. Quality time. And all I have to do is be out of there by a certain time so I can shimmy back around town to go and see my mom. So the fewer obligations that we choose to have, because that's the magic of going into this next chapter of life, is everything that we are required to do, it can be a choice. It is no longer a requirement to have to get up and go kill something and bring it home. Now, granted, some of us, myself included, will continue to work. So there will be self-imposed obligations there, but they're obligations by our own crafting and our own choice. So whether you are working outside the house so that you have the money to meet your gap when it comes to what you need versus what you have, that's a real thing. That's called a hybrid retirement. We're Gen X, we're inventing it. Let's go for it. And it's becoming the new norm. The retirement that we all envisioned from the Waltons and the Cosby Show and all of the different sitcoms and shows we grew up with, that doesn't exist anymore. We Gen Xers, we're doing it differently. So hybrid retirements, nobody's looking down their nose at you. We're applauding you. You go, because you are still going out killing it and doing what you have to do for you and yours to keep the lights on and to live a life that you're currently designing. It doesn't mean that you won't ever not have to work. It just means that you're making different choices right now while you are still capable of working, whether it's paying off debt or just making sure you've got enough cash piled up. And for some of us who want to leave before 65, start this journey before 65, we're going to have to take on some different expenses. Healthcare costs are one of them. Down in the description, if you don't know what your number is, I've got Master Your Money Plan, and then I've also got the healthcare cost checklist for you to start diving into and figuring out what this looks like. So this is the 6th series. Yes, this is the 6th monthly series and a 7-month tour that I'm taking you along with as I am figuring out my retirement plan. Like, share, subscribe. Keep coming back. Go and binge all of the videos up to this point. And join me on Saturday for the YouTube Live that will conclude this, where we can all hear me give one more soapbox presentation and then just chat. I'll see y'all soon. Stop recording.
So when we get there, when we have left the full-time rat race, now you may be doing a hybrid or a semi-retired or a glide down to where you're reducing your hours over a period of time. But when you start to make this transition, what do you think is going to happen first? What do you think your body and your mind are going to do when they are no longer running at the schedule in the framework that you've established and performed to for the past 30, 40 years? Well, you're going to have to take some time and recover. There is a recovery period between working as hard as we've worked and transitioning into a much gentler pace of life. However, some things to be aware of as they begin creeping back in, because some of these things you haven't seen in quite a while. Will you feel more rested? Probably. Less stressed? Let's hope so. Okay, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Let's watch this next video.
You're not getting old. You are just under-rested for the last 30 to 40 years. I didn't know how tired I was until I started living like I was retired on my off work hours, started sleeping a little bit longer, saying no to more things, and just taking it easy. I'm freaking exhausted. So let me ask you this. What do you think comes back when you finally let go of the grind, whether that's full-time retirement or a step down into a hybrid or a glide? What's the first thing you think that's going to come back for you? I'm telling you, most of us, we probably think the very first thing that comes back to us when we decide to retire or to rein it in and do this hybrid glide retirement, first thing most of you are going to say is time. I'll have more time. Yeah, you will. But with as tired as we are after busting it for all these decades, what's that time going to do for you? And it's not just that we've been running at the pace we've been running for all this time. We've got nature happening to us, men and women, this whole pause thing, menopause or menopause. It's a real thing, and our bodies are telling us, hey, we've gone over a hump. Things are changing, not going to recover as quickly. You're not going to sleep as well. Your brain, honestly, the brain is not functioning the way it used to because our body's not making what it used to. And don't get me started on trying to work out like I used to and get the same results. That's a whole new can of worms. But what comes back when you sit quietly in all this time that we're going to have and you start resting and you start sleeping and you start eating when your body tells you to, not when a sliver of time says, I better inhale this real quick before my next meeting, or a time clock that they make you punch for you to go and have your lunch, whether you're ready for it or not. So when you do all of that, when you pull all that together and you give yourself enough window of this time, the first thing that's going to come back is energy. Your body's going to start to recover. Your mind is going to start to recover. And what that's going to lead to, and it's going to surprise the heck out of you, because I've watched it with my husband and I saw it with myself when I took 10 days off a couple of weeks ago and forced myself to not do anything unless it was something I enjoyed, but I had no schedule and I had no alarm clock. But what I realized through him and what I saw in myself was once I gave myself enough days of just time and rest, my body clock started resetting itself. With him, it took about 4 or 5 months for me to notice that with him. But we're almost a year into his, and his personality, the one I fell in love with when we were kids, that I grew up with, that I had not seen in 40 years, it's back. It is back. It is the most magical thing. And with myself too, just on those 10 short days, I was less prone to knee-jerk respond. I was nowhere near as stressed. My blood pressure went down. My sleeping improved. Like I said, my personality was beginning to shift into a more fun, devil-may-care, let's just go do something together, whether it costs money or not. Usually didn't cost anything, or not do anything at all. Lots of enjoyment in yard work and housework when you don't have to fit it in on the weekends with everything else that we have to do. So chronic exhaustion became the ordinary. There was a time in our lives when we first started living at this pace that it was extraordinary. We couldn't believe how tired we were compared to what we used to be. But then it became the normal, the new normal. It's coming, and we're going to embrace it. The new normal is time to rest. The new normal, by hook or by crook, is going to begin, is no longer going to be unfamiliar. It is going to become the normal. It's the extraordinary is going to be how rested you feel. And by God, that's going to become your new ordinary, the new normal. Our society has penalized us for taking too much time to rest and recover. Why do you think companies have a amount of vacation you're allowed to take every year, and then some of them don't even like you to take that time? Yes, I'm saying that my own company, my bosses, so I'm not going to say the company endorses this, but my bosses would rather see me work on my vacation than leave them in the lurch when I'm not around. It's okay for them. I need the time down, but I've accommodated that for many years. I don't accommodate that anymore. Leave in the comments below if you had found yourself either not taking your vacation. Some of us have the luxury of cashing it out after it gets to a certain bank. Some of us hit a wall where we can't roll it over anymore. My particular company, you can't roll it over and you can't cash it out. So if you don't use it, you lose it. And I lost probably 5 years worth of vacation, not counting the extra hours I gave them. These companies are not charities. So for you younger versions of us out there, you need to remember that you need to invest in yourself with that vacation time to make sure that you still know what your peace and your center is. And when this energy begins to come back, it's twin sisters, it's kissing cousins come back with it. You're going to get motivation to do those to-do lists that you've been putting off all this time. Energy comes back. Creativity also comes back because energy brings oxygen. Energy lets in the sun. Energy revitalizes so much of us that we've had to squash down because we just didn't have time for it. How many of us have wanted to pick up a new hobby or a new project, whether it's an arts and craft or something we used to enjoy doing, but we've had to set it aside because we didn't have the creativity or the energy or the focus because we were spending all of that elsewhere. So with this impending next chapter of life, you don't have to expect come Monday, if your last day is on a Friday, that it's all going to come back to you then. Matter of fact, some of us that are watching this can go ahead and get started now, like I've done, and I keep preaching from the mount on, take your time that you're not in the office and pretend like you're retired. Start living now. Set up the pace of life, the things you like to do, the rest that you desperately need, and start doing it now. So that when you actually get to the full retirement and or the hybrid step down glide retirement, like I will be in and so many of you other Gen Xers will be as well, when you get there, it's not hitting a brick wall, it's hitting the ground, skipping ahead, because you've already started that. You've already started figuring out what your pattern is going to look like and the activities that you want to begin to pursue. All right, so this series, Series 6 in my 7-month series, is all about the mindset and what we need to do now to begin preparing for the adjustment of retirement. But these things will serve you today as much as they're going to serve you tomorrow. So like, share, subscribe. Go and binge all the videos in this series and everything else on my channel. Keep coming back. I post usually on Wednesdays and Saturdays. In this series, it's a 7-day run, so go and binge everything here. And then on Saturday, it will be a YouTube Live. I will see y'all soon. Stop recording. I didn't know how tired I was, and my body clock started resetting itself. I think the security guard for the parking garage is fixing to come around. Anyway, how rested you feel. This next topic, this is what I've had a challenge with, I would say most of my working life when people talked about retirement. And I would say, oh, I'm never going to retire. Why retire? I enjoy what I'm doing, etc., etc. I want to be the master of my schedule, of my days, of my calendar. I want to be able to get back the 14 hours a day that I give to my job. That includes a 3-hour round trip commute, and then I'm on the ground the balance of that time. When that happens, I know me, I'm still going to need structure. So freedom is great. I will embrace it. I will welcome it. I will pull up a chair and say, sit right down. But my freedom needs structure. I personally, I've got to get up and get dressed every morning. Just who I am. Even the times as a contractor when I was in between gigs, that was still a requirement. I psychologically have issues with not having structure. So for me, my structure is going to look different than yours. So take the time to just go on permanent vacation for a few months, a year, whatever you choose. But then figure out
what your structure needs to be. It doesn't have to be anything that resembles what you've been doing the last 30, 40 years. But see what you need and give yourself the grace of what you need, regardless of what anybody else says. All right, let's watch this one because I've got some nuggets of wisdom and genisms.
What happens when nobody tells us what to do anymore? I thought that would mean freedom, that I can do whatever I want. I am the master of my day. I am the captain of my calendar. But what I realized is that I still need rhythm. You might call it a schedule. Let's call it rhythm. That sounds less constraining. So freedom apparently isn't just for me, and maybe possibly for you. Let your days just happen. No, freedom apparently, it's going to need a structure and a spine as well. A lot of us fantasize about never having to get up by an alarm clock again, don't have to be somewhere by a certain time, get points deducted, or get in trouble if you're not sitting somewhere by the time somebody else walks in. Yeah, it sounds great on paper. And we should all look forward to that season where we get to be our own decision maker, our own keeper. But truthfully, days without a structure, you're just gonna sit in your pajamas all day. I need to be able to wake up, have my coffee quietly, move into my day gently, but know that by a certain time in that morning, I need to be dressed and ready to face whatever I choose to do that day. Because I know myself. Now, this I know, that if I do not have myself get up, get dressed, that does not mean a shower, that does not mean a full face of makeup, but that means get up and start the day for me after the coffee and the quiet time, the morning, just me and the world thinking time. Each one of us are different, but give it some significant thought. And when you do these role playing, live like you're retired while you're still working these last few years, find out if that's you too. Give yourself a full week, if not 2 weeks, of that vacation you've been putting off and you've been refusing to take because the company needs you. If you don't get this done, nobody else can do your job. Okay, we're laying that down. All right. Yeah, you're daggum good at what you do. Yes, the company appreciates you, but you have got to let go of the fact nobody will ever be able to do what you do the way you do it, because no, they will not. But the company, and this is a whole nother video that's coming out, the company will replace you within 30 minutes. Because I love you, I love me, but truth be told, we're all replaceable. So for me, freedom is not going to be the absence of structure. It's going to be my structure. It's going to be what I tell it, when I tell it. If I want to say I'm going to work my side hustles 3 hours a day, or I'm going to do it 2 days a week for 4 hours each, whatever I decide, that for me is freedom. Because I've already told you that I will not be doing the traditional retirement. Sitting around, just living life, that's never been me. Even when I was between gigs, I was still out doing something. I don't care if it was catching up on all those honeydews I'd been putting off forever, or building my cabin with my dad, taking up volunteer opportunities. I always am doing something because I need that. So with retirement, whatever that looks like, with this next season of life, when I don't have to go answer to anybody, I will still be generating my own calendar with what I have to answer to for myself. And we all have heard that we humans have built-in rhythms. We've got sleep rhythms, we've got things go a little bit crazy in our worlds with the full moon. There's a rhythm. Rhythm, rhythm, rhythm. And the sooner that we identify and embrace the fact that there still needs to be a rhythm to life, we've got 12 months a year, we've got 4 seasons, there's a rhythm to that. Rhythm to absolutely everything. So find your rhythm. What is going to work for you when you do take those trial run retirement, aka vacation weeks that you need to take just for at least the retirement rehearsal part of it? What rhythm do you need? Now, if you can take 2 weeks concurrently or 2 weeks back to back, whatever the phrase is there, I encourage that, because that first week, it did for me when I took that week off over Memorial Day a bit ago. It just feels like a vacation. It is quite the awakening to get into the mindset of, this is a retirement rehearsal. So don't just be a player in your own rehearsal. If you can take 2 weeks, take 2 weeks. This will serve you well when you actually do start transitioning. Now, some of you are doing a glide retirement. What a wonderful gift the universe has brought to you on that, to be able to step it down. I have worked 40 plus hours a week for all these years. I'm going to start working 32 hours a week. I'm going to step that down to 24. Whatever your company has agreed to you with, this is going to give you so much more opportunity to practice the retirement. Rhythm, it's a real thing. And we've all seen it. I've talked about it ad nauseum. Retirement does not mean life satisfaction. Just because you no longer have to go to a job, you no longer have to go out and kill it and bring it home. We've been doing this our entire lives. It started off when we started school. Our job was our education. We had to go somewhere certain hours of the day. We had responsibilities when we got home in the evenings. We began learning to live for the weekends then. Then we transitioned into out of the house work life, which ultimately led to where we are today. We have been doing this our entire life. This will be the first time since we were 5 years old that the days are completely unstructured. But this time, you don't have a mother or a caregiver, etc., giving you the structure, because they did try to impose that before 5. You are completely on your own, and it does. It sounds wonderful. I know it does. I am looking forward to it. But, and you know, it's life, so there's always a big old but. Retirement doesn't automatically mean structure, and it does not automatically mean purpose. And if you don't give that some thought before you get there, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? You possibly have another 20 or 30 years, maybe longer to go. Yes, free time sounds great until it's all you've got. So give it some thought. What have you always wanted to do? Start making that list. You can call it a bucket list if you want to, but a lot of it you can start doing now or start doing the preparation for. I personally, I've always wanted to tour Ireland. Personally, I've always wanted to go do a non-touristy tour of Ireland and Scotland. Scotland's on the list now because I work with some Scots and they got really upset when I said I just wanted to go to Ireland. But that is on my list, and I'm beginning to map that out, what that looks like, what kind of fundage it's going to take. And yes, I've been planning this since I was turning 50, so you know, with inflation and stuff, the numbers moving. So I want to do it sooner than later. But the biking tour portion of it, I got to make sure Honey and I are physically able to do that now. 10 years ago we were. Are we now? If not, we can start preparing for that now, and at least do biking tour part of it. But you can start making these plans for yourself now, and I highly encourage it. 1, motivation. If you are still working because you haven't quite closed the gap between what you need and what you have, so continuing to work is helping you build this up. This will give you pre-retirement, retirement planning outside of the financial, because it is not all about the finances. We talk about that a lot here too. It's about the dollars, but it's about the cents as well. So start going down, what are you going to do in retirement? Now, the popcorn trips or the planned trips, the different activities, yeah, great. But there's still a lot of time. So think about, and for me, you know, you're going to see me down working with dog rescues and walking pups. I may even at some point when I can evaluate my life, am I going to be somewhere long enough throughout a series of weeks and months without this constant travel I've been doing for almost 20 years? Could I start a dog boarding business? Could I just watch my friends' dogs when they go out of town just to try it on and see what it's like? But of course, mine's going to be canine related. You know this already. But what have you always wanted to do that doesn't necessarily have to bring money, but it feeds your heart, it feeds your soul, and feeds your spirit? Start thinking about that, because you're going to have time to fill. So fill it with stuff that's meaningful to you, and side benefit of leaving a mark. All right. So I'm Jenny. I've got a little to say about a lot of stuff down in the description. You're going to find Master Your Money Plan free for you. If you don't know how much you need for retirement, because you probably don't know how much you need every month, you need to go grab that and start working on that now. There's also Life Experiences to Income. This is free for you as well. Several other freebies. On my website, I have the Retirement Reality Reset Kit and some other products for you to go out there to do a deeper dive into what you need to get your confidence and your numbers where they need to be. I will see you guys all again soon. Like, subscribe, share. Make sure somebody in your life that sees these videos. Stop recording. What happens when nobody tells us what to do anymore? This giant mythical, what am I going to say there? We've got reproduction rhythms. Here we go. And I'm not talking about white girl can't dance. I'm not talking about that, because I can't. Don't even think I could possibly be taught. I did jazzercise for a while. I just went there for the fitness. Learned a few moves, didn't execute them well. This all gets bloopers on the end. Okay, but rhythm.
As I have begun dream casting, we're going to call it that, of what my next phase of life is going to look like, in charge of my own schedule. I don't have to get up at 1 o'clock in the morning. These side hustles and passion projects actually become my core structure at the pace to which I want to work them. So I no longer have to, not that I mind it, record these videos at 3:45 in the morning, knowing I've got to be on the road in 15 minutes. So with that said, my days are going to get smaller when it comes to requirements of things I need to tick boxes on. And some days are going to be completely organic, free form. It's going to be, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, interpretive dance. My days will be filled with interpretive dance, and whatever I feel like doing, I will go and do. So the small days, those are the treats. Those are the gems, the mercy, the grace that we give ourselves because we have worked really hard. And all those times where you went from a work week into a overbooked weekend between kids and church and family and to-dos, back into a work week when there was not any time to catch your breath. Let's go and talk about these small days. They're yours. They're the gifts you're giving yourself now.
Somewhere along the way, ordinary days became what I'm looking forward to most when it comes to my next chapter. I don't need a big life. I need a life that feeds my soul, gives me flexibility, and allows me to make my own decisions. So what if a smaller life isn't settling? It's actually an upgrade from where we sit now. Like a dog chasing its tail, we have spent decades chasing more income, chasing promotions, chasing the satisfaction of our bosses and the admiration of our coworkers. And outside of that, those same decades, we have spent chasing raising kids, being a phenomenal aunt, taking care of our parents. We have been in perpetual motion since we got out of high school, possibly before then. I started working when I was 12, 13 years old. It's time to slow it down a little bit. And we know it. Busy to the outsider can look like, oh, they've got it all. They can take care of it all. Look at them juggling all of it. They're here, they're PTA, they're Boy Scouts, they're a full-time career woman. They travel for their job. They take care of their parents. They volunteer. It goes on and on. Busy does not equal quality of life, because behind the scenes, what they don't see, in every last one of us who has spent the last 30 years being that busy knows, there's lack of sleep, there is lack of time to officially and intentionally get the exercise you need, the nutritional components to our diets. There's vices that we pick up that help us get from this thing and that thing and that thing. And in the moment, they all seem like these are the great solutions. At the long-term mile markers, looking back, we start having a little few regrets. What if I'd never picked up the cigarettes? What if I'd never refused to meal prep on a weekend because it was only going to take me 2 hours, and quit eating all of the fast food? Let's not even talk about the amount of money we have blown on convenience things over the last 30, 40 years because we've been so busy. Could we all have retired in our 40s if we had not been so busy and able to do the things that would have prevented us from grabbing the coffee on the way to work, or eating out 3 meals a day, or too tired to cook at home in the evenings for the kids and the husband, or running off to this sports practice or this or that? Think of the amount of dollars that we have spent supporting how busy we've been. We're moving into another chapter, another season of our lives where busy is only going to happen because you're choosing it. So as we sit down and we figure out what our individual numbers are, what we need for retirement every month, let's all take into consideration the fact that we're not going to be that busy. We can now finally do the cook at home, meal prep, not eating out as much, etc., etc. You get to make these choices now, and for those of us who want to go ahead and retire and we're willing to cook more at home than eat out, because that'll reduce the amount of money we need every month, it's probably going to be worth it for you. So if you don't know what your number is, down in the description, I've got Master Your Money Plan, and that one's free. And I've got the Retirement Reality Reset Kit. Both of them will walk you through how to set up your basic budget for what you need today, because you need to know that. And then you need to start figuring out what you're going to need for retirement. Are you working to 65? Will you be getting Medicare health insurance, or do you need to pay for it for yourself between now and then? And what does that look like? There's also a freebie down there to help you figure out your health care costs as well, and what you can start doing now to prepare for that. One of the things I'm looking most to as my life ceases to be as busy, unless I choose it to be, and it probably will be in surges, because we've got seasons, rhythms in the family of birthdays, etc. So I'll be busier during certain sections of the year. Holidays, we're all busy during the holidays because I want to be able to go and enjoy. But now I don't have to fit it in around a full-time job, because I now have, by now, I mean when I finally leave this job in my rearview mirror and take that step through the door to this next chapter of my life. But at that point, I'm going to be buying back, 14 hours a day of busy? Oh, I will not be backfilling all of that time with more busy. No, I will dial it back. Quality of life. I am looking forward to drinking my coffee when I wake up without an alarm, listening to the birds. It will be something I have only experienced a few precious times in my adult life, but I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to being able to watch a movie to its completion at night without worrying, oh, I need to pause this and get back to it tomorrow, or this weekend when I've got more time, because if I don't fall asleep, I can't get up when that first alarm goes off in the morning. It's going to be a new world. What are you looking forward to when you finally walk through that door? And even if you're doing a glide or a hybrid retirement, the hybrid retirement is what basically I will be doing at least for the next 10 years or so, because I enjoy my side hustles. I adore them. I am fitting them in right now in the cracks of my day and on my weekends. And I don't mind, it's not work to me. But when I have that extra 14 hours a day, no, I do not want to do my side hustles 14 plus hours a day. No, I do not. There's other things I want to be out doing. But I will schedule some of the week that is dedicated to those side hustles because that gives me structure and rhythm. But the rest of the days, the rest of the time in that day, because it won't be a full 14-hour day. No, 6, 7 hours, maybe something like that at the most. I got stuff I want to go do. I've got projects I need to finish. Yeah, I built the cabin, but every last room still has a punch list of what I need to do to finish it up and call it 100%. We've all got those lists. And by going back to knowing your number, because many of us are terrified that we do not have enough in our retirement accounts. Some of us haven't started until just recently even thinking about it. It is not the amount of money you have. A lot of people say it's $1 million. No, it is not. It is how much do you need every month. And that is where you can take control and start beating back the fear. You will be surprised when you finally do your budget, when you figure out how much a month you need right now, and take it to the next level when you retire, when you no longer have to work full time. What is the amount you're going to need then? Now, with every month of our life, we have had the opportunity to spend less and save more. We have. A lot of us have chosen convenience and self-soothing over the long-term goals. Now, for most of us, Gen Xers, who do not necessarily have 100% of all of the income we feel we need between now and the day we leave this life to support us without having to work full time, you need to take a real hard look at where you are, what moves you can make, because we've all got some more good working years left to us. And regardless of the fact you're over it and you're burnout and you're tired, you got to get to the home stretch. And the home stretch starts with knowing your number. Down in the description, go and grab those items I told you. Some of them are free, some of them are a little bit more for a deeper dive. Keep coming back. Binge the content. I will begin producing some actual how-to videos so that those who actually need the step-by-step walkthrough of what do I do next. All this sounds great. I've got your spreadsheet. Now what? Let's start walking through that together. I want us all to be armed with the knowledge that we need to see where we are. And then you're going to have to make some hard decisions. Do some of you need to work a little bit longer to pay off all this consumer debt? Yeah, you do. Because your retirement budget, if you don't have that elusive $1 million plus, is probably not going to support all of those minimum payments. Do we work a little bit longer to pay off debt? Yes. Do we work a little bit harder now to pay off debt? Yes, you do. And that may look like delivering pizzas, going to get a job, starting a side hustle. Down in the description, another freebie for you, life experience to side hustle or life experience to income, how to define what your side hustles could be. Go and grab that. All right, well, I'm Jenny. I post on Wednesdays and Saturdays. This is part of a 7-day series about what do we do when we actually get to retirement. But you've got series 1 through 5 before, and we got series 7 coming up. On Saturday, we'll be doing a YouTube live. So if you're watching this from the future, hello, and go and watch the YouTube live as well. I appreciate y'all. I will be back soon. Stop recording. Just wondering what magical things the day is going to hold. Yes, there's Disney birds and butterflies and hummingbirds flying around my head right now when I think about that, because you bought the stuff. You didn't lie, but you bought the stuff. You promised somebody if they would loan you this money that you would pay them back with extra called interest, and you would do that. Now, a lot of the stuff is broke and thrown away, etc., but you still owe the money. You got to pay it off. So
I have said all of this in videos 1 through 6, regardless of the financials, to tell you this. I have become aware, and I want us all to bring this in close. Listen up. You are designing a life that you do not need a vacation from. No, we're not going on permanent vacation. That's never set well with me, because to me for me that's an unstructured, meandering, etc. And there's a place for that with my small days and my quieter days, etc. But I need a life that I don't need a vacation from, and still get to be true to me and what I want to do. So give yourself the time to begin thinking about that now. But here is the golden ticket. Start living now like you're already retired. Do not keep putting it off mentally and in practice. That when I retire, I will start that hobby. When I retire, I will go fishing more. Tomorrow has never been promised to us. You need to find your joy and your peace and your hope for the future in today. Because retirement is not an entitlement. Retirement is a choice, it is a decision, and it can look like anything you want it to look like. If you want to keep working, if you want to do a hybrid, if you need to keep working because you've got a gap between what's going to come in and what your bills are, retirement can start today. It's a mentality. It's a place we go to in our brains, in our minds, and we start setting the pace today. What would a life that you love actually look like? I stopped fantasizing about the life I'll have in my next chapter, the retirement, some of you may call it, but it's my next chapter because I'm not going to stop working. But I kept fantasizing. I was sitting at my desk. I wouldn't say in misery, but definitely in pressure and the stew of the office drama, etc. And I would just daydream. One day I won't have to sit here in the middle of all this. But I no longer daydream because I'm planning it, and it is more real to me now than the fantasy it once was. So this next chapter fails without intention. We can't just wander into it and expect to live the retired life, the next chapter life that we've envisioned our entire work career. No, you have to make some intentional choices and decide what your retirement is going to look like for you. And the fantastic thing about this is you are the boss of absolutely everything. So this series 7, no, I'm sorry, this series 6, these 7 videos have all been about one thing. What are you going to do when you no longer have to go into the office? When you have finally reached your goals, worked your plan, made your decision, and you are out of there, what is your life going to look like? Have you given that as much effort and thought as the plan to get the heck out of there? You should have. And I want to make sure you at least go into this season fully armed, planning what your life is going to look like through the mire and the muck of working the financial end of it, making sure you've stacked up your cash and you've got all your ducks in a row. It's the planning of your life in this next chapter that is going to get you through. Some days you get called into a meeting and you get dumped on with all this additional work because young upstart couldn't manage it or couldn't handle it, and all of a sudden you're called in to clean up their messes again. Plan what it's going to be like when that's no longer even a possibility, and you'll get through that a lot easier. Because retirement, the next chapter, is not just about leaving the job, leaving all of that behind. It's about what you're going to do with it, with the retirement, the next chapter, because it's all up to you for the first time in your life ever. It is all up to you, and I hope you're as excited about this as I am. Yes, for many of us, there is a long road to hoe to get from where we are to that golden ticket, the Willy Wonka golden ticket to get us into the chocolate factory of retirement. And some of us are not fully going to retire. It doesn't matter. It is still your choice that this is your last job. You're going to use them as a tool to build the life you want. And if that life is to keep working, even if it's a step down or a glide down or completely on your own terms with your own side hustles or your own consulting business, that's what we're working for. Whether you need the money or not, and many of us do, we have a gap between what we've saved, what Social Security is going to bring us, and what we need. We're working on that too. There is no reason to give up hope. If you started late or you're just now starting, you got this. This series is as much for you, because if you don't spin the dream in front of you, what is all this for? What is all the planning and the backbreaking in the last 30, 40 years of our lives? What's it been for? There is something better for us. And we've known it all these years. It's not what they promised. It's not what we assumed. None of us, or very few of us, and if you are about to retire to a very wealthy lifestyle, don't tell us about it in the comments, because you are the unicorn. We're, let's say, the common folk. We're the every Joe. We're the every Gen Xer out there who has done the best we can, living the life that we've living the life that we have lived. And now we're standing at this crossroads, and our next chapter is going to be different. But we're done. We are done counting down to Fridays, and oh God, it's Monday when we get there. Right now, many of us still working because we got a plan. We got to finish towing that line. But what are you going to do when you get there? What's it going to be like when you don't have to fret a Monday? Sunday night, you don't have to get all depressed and moody because, got to start it back over tomorrow. No, we don't, because we're done with that. Even if you're still working a part-time job or a glide down situation, Mondays are going to feel different. But start planning it now. So we have all spent decades. And yes, decades. We got way more sunsets behind us than we do in front of us, but we have spent decades in the trenches, raising families, killing it, dragging it home, in survival mode a lot of that time period. Not many of us started making tremendous amount of money immediately after high school or after college. There were salad days, and those salad days became the norm. So as we got raises, some of us didn't do the lifestyle creep. Some of us continued living on salad days. But we've been in survival mode long enough. Hopefully, when we get to retirement, we're still going to have to be fully aware of what's coming in, what's going out. But gone are all of those extra expenses. You're no longer raising kids. You're no longer having to commute to work. So if your car needs a brake job, well, you can work around that for a while until you've got the money for the brake job. Unlike back when we were working, if that car needed something, that was critical. That was, oh, dear Lord, I've got to get to this job. I've got to get the kids to school. I've got to get the husband, et cetera, et cetera. So no longer are we going to dread Mondays and worship at the altar of Fridays. And we're no longer in survival mode. Yes, we are very cognizant. There we go, big word for the day. We're very cognizant of what we have to spend and what our expenses are. But it's no longer the world's going to come to an end, because we've learned we can economize, we can cut this out, we can be more crafty and creative with how we prepare food at home or shop secondhand stores or thrift stores for clothing versus the main department store. And God knows I love me a Kohl's sale, but at the end of the day, I'm still buying a lot of my wardrobe, even for work, from thrift stores. It's the way I was brought up. And there's a lot of great clothes there that need their forever home. So I've helped them out over the decades. But what kind of life do you actually want? We are not yet retired.
reason why we're all here watching these videos. But think about it. What kind of life do you want when you retire? You got a bucket list? You got things you want to go out and do? Not only can you start envisioning and dreaming and planning, a lot of those things are going to require a physically fit and healthy you. So if you want to go climb a pyramid or the Leaning Tower of Pisa or Machu Picchu, whatever your dreams are, what can you do now to make sure you're physically capable of enjoying that in the youth of your senior year and do it better than you could do today? So if you've got time between now and hybrid retirement, glide retirement, full retirement, whatever your retirement's going to look like, start doing some great things for your future self. Your future self is going to thank you for the activity, for the health, for the experiences. So don't let this time pass you by and don't give up. Here's something that has motivated me time and time again. Do not give up on something that you want because of the amount it's going to take. Because that time, it's going to pass anyway. So I'm going to leave you with this before I give you this golden nugget of Jenisms. I'm Jenny. I got a little to say about a lot of stuff, and all of it has to do right now with retirement and how do we get there and what does it look like, and do I have to fully quit work? What if I want to keep doing this or develop a side hustle? That's why we're all here. Or for me and for not most of you, some of you actually love your job. How do you continue working a job as your last job, because you don't want to have to get another one, using it as the tool that you need to get to your exit, but you hate it. You absolutely dread going into it every day. That's more mindset work, but here we're going to set some goals. We're going to figure it out. We're going to help each other survive what we have to do because we've been doing that for a long time. So we're all just going to pull up our bootstraps, plan the work the plan, give ourselves goals and celebratory moments, and when the final end comes for this particular job to sunset, we're going to celebrate together. All right, so here's your Jenism I want to leave you with. Freedom means absolutely nothing if you recreate the same misery by lack of planning and lack of intention that you're leaving. You do not want to walk into this next chapter, look around and go, well, dang, nothing's changed. Because no matter where you go, there you are. So you have got a plan. Intentionally craft the life you want to live. So this next chapter, it can either happen for you or it's going to happen to you. But it's going to happen. So like, share, subscribe. Keep coming back. I post on Wednesdays and Saturdays. This is video 7 in series 6. So what are you going to do when you finally get to that next chapter? We're going to do a YouTube live later today. You guys come back and join us. And if this is you in the future, hello. And go and check out for the YouTube live. All right, I'll see y'all soon. Stop recording. So again, if you're some multi-bazillionaire, go away. You have a great life. You do. But unless you're going to write us all a $50,000 check, okay, this is going in the bloopers because that's just mean. Good for you if you've got all that money. Good. We're glad for you. Good on you. And for those of us who will be able to not work anywhere, and eventually I will probably stop working. I don't know. I could be Warren Buffett, work to my 90s. You guys stick around and we'll all find out together. How's that? But I'll quit work when I choose to, or there's no reason to bring in extra money. But I don't know. That's going to be a hard habit to break. I have always had to earn money for what I wanted. And yes, there is a mindset shift when we go into retirement. And as the money grows over the years, there may end up being a surplus that I'm no longer required to keep going out and earning it. That will be a fantastic day when that happens. But if it doesn't come, I'm willing to die with my boots on. There we go. I've said it. So no longer are we going to dread the weekend.
survival mode. And by dread, so you have got a plan, intent, intentionally. So if this series has brought anything home to me, it's that retirement is not a financial decision. Retirement, and as I like to call it, just the next chapter of my life, it is a choice, but it's not just a choice financially based. It's a choice based on how I want to live my life, the satisfaction I want to eke out of it every day, the peace, the calm, the ability to learn to say no to things that don't necessarily fit within how I want to live my life. Now, it's taken me 58 years to realize this, but I'm clinging to it. I am living now, mentally and in action, as if I'm already retired. I wish this for you. Keep coming back. I am Jenny. I got a little to say about a lot of stuff. All of it has to do with this next chapter of our lives and how we're going to manage not just the money, but ourselves. Share this video with somebody you know who needs to see this particular 7-day series, but I've got a 7-month compartmentalized chapterized, yeah, I made that up, chapterized. And my channel is just chocked full of all of this information. So like, subscribe, share, keep coming back, binge like you've got to paint the house and you need something to keep you entertained. I will see y'all soon. Stop recording.